Hi, Tom. It seems like our annual visit before the Super Bowl, and your son Tom's playing in his eighth. It's 1-5. And did you ever think or dream in your life that your 40-year-old son would be quarterbacking a Super Bowl team?
No, Mike, we never did. We were happy when we went to Super Bowl 16 the first time when the 49ers played, and we were so elated. And then 20 years later, Super Bowl 36, the Patriots played, and we were as elated as we could be playing just one. And lo and behold, it's a bunch of years later now, and this is the eighth one. It's almost like Groundhog's Day. we seem to be coming back here most every year. And it's a joy.
Tom's the only player to win 5 Super Bowl rings with the same team. Charles Haley has 5. Actually, Dwight Clark has 5, but 2 as a player and 3 as an administrator. So he'll set a record here if they get a win with a 6th Super Bowl ring. And it's hard to even fathom that many, right?
Yeah, it is. It is. But we remember each one of them very vividly. Mm-hmm. And I think this is going to be the toughest one of all. You know, Philadelphia, the great offense. Great defense, good coaching. We've got our work cut out for them. So, if we get there at number 6 on Sunday night, we'll be very thankful.
And speaking of 40 years old, kind of the old adage: the longer you play in this league, the more chances you have of, I don't want to say being maimed for life, but is there concerns with you and your family about Tom playing this far into his career?
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, any one hit could be devastating. But he takes care of himself as well as anybody can possibly take care of himself. So we're, again, hopeful that, you know, if he said after this game that I'm done, we would be all on board. In fact, if he had said it last year or the year before, we would all have been on board. There's been a lot of hits through high school, college, and the pros. And so when he retires, we're going to all take a deep breath.
I think last night, too, at the media day, that's the most open I think I've ever seen Tom. He was having fun, you know, had great sense of humor. He was showing, you know, he's normally so serious about everything because of his preparation, but I thought to myself, wow, I wonder if he's thinking this one might be it and he's really going to enjoy it, or do you just feel like because he's been so often now, he knows how to handle it?
He hasn't given us any indication it's the last one, win or lose. Mm-hmm. So, but I noticed the same thing that you did. When both my wife and I, his mom, were saying, "Wow, look at how much fun he's having," and it's kind of neat because, as you say, oftentimes he's kind of guarded, but last night he was great. So.
All right, your wife, Galen, is from Minnesota. I guess
Yes.
You guys used to go back there in the summers, and Tom said he used to milk cows, go fishing, and do a lot of different things. So kind of interesting for you guys this year going back to your wife's home state to play in a Super Bowl.
Yeah, we're thankful that we're not playing the Vikings. I mean, I am thankful. I'm not sure that my wife is thankful, given that they would have probably of the 67,000 seats in the stadium, that they would have had about 66,500 of them rooting for the Vikings. So at least it gives us a little bit of a fighting chance. But you know, football's such a fluke. One way or the other, you know, the Vikings got into the game and then they went to Philadelphia, and Philadelphia had a battle with Atlanta, and I mean they're all so tight. So they could have easily been in there, but it's going to be fun just for us to go back there and see a lot of family and be in the cities and get a chance to celebrate together.
And I think because the Patriots, I think he and Belichick, Tom, have been to 8 Super Bowls, are so familiar with it, they kind of know how to close it out and almost let the other team make that mistake so they can, you know, I think in Tom's 5 wins, he's had 5 game-winning drives also. But I think they're looking at Philadelphia. This is really going to be a challenge, especially with that defense.
Well, and Foles, I mean, the defense is the front 4 great. I mean, they're stacked all the way through. I think they were maybe second in rushing defense and 4th in passing defense. So, but you know, that's why we lace them up, and I think you know, we're pretty good too. So we'll get out there and try and hold our own if things go our way, I think we can be victorious.
All right, Tom had that hand injury on his right hand, had 12 stitches in the conference championship game. I know you're not giving away any secrets or anything of that nature, but it seems like that's passed and that shouldn't affect him in the Super Bowl.
We don't really discuss that too much. He said when we talked to him a couple days ago, he had the stitches out, and so he did okay in the conference championship. Now we'll hopefully be able to take another step and be a little bit more secure in the Super Bowl.
And I think, too, for instance, Philadelphia going to this group's first one. And you and I have talked about it over the years. You know, Tom knows just how much time to spend with the family when they're there, and then he kicks it into the game mode where he doesn't, spend any time with you guys at all. Is that an advantage, you think, for the Patriots with the entire team because they know how to deal with all that?
I think that is a major advantage. And having been there last year, a lot of the Patriots have already been there. Belichick has tutored them exactly what to do. So I definitely think, it's a intangible, tangible type of thing where, they're not going to get hopefully too hyped up, but which is so easy to do.
Right.
I mean, I remember the first one that we were at, and I remember Philadelphia when we played them in Jacksonville back in 2004, I believe, and they were jacked up, and it's natural. That being said, as much as it's been a wonderful experience for us, I don't think in the prior 7 Super Bowls we've ever scored a touchdown in the first quarter.
Wow.
So while we may want to come into it and be under control, all things aren't necessarily clicking right out of the chute.
All right, speaking of Belichick, a lot of talk about him and Tom's relationship this year. And, well, let me start with this. Were you surprised when they traded Jimmy Garoppolo to the 49ers for only a second-round draft choice?
Yes, I was. I mean, I would have been surprised if he got drafted or got traded to anybody. But I think it was wonderful happenstance that he goes to the 49ers because he is an absolute winner. He's just a real classy guy and a real winner, and I hope that he has great success in our hometown here because, when Tommy's finished playing for the Patriots, I'll be rooting for the 49ers back again and rooting for the Patriots on the AFC side. So, but that being said, the Patriots were kind of between a rock and a hard place. If Tommy wants to play another 2 or 3 years, you're not going to be able to fit the salary cap. You're not going to. There's too many complexities in there, and I think they took what they felt was the best next step.
All right. Did that create a little problem between Tom and Bill Belichick, or no?
I don't know.
Right.
To be honest with you, I could say yes or no, but I'm not inside the locker room. Tommy has never told us about any conflict with Belichick and ESPN aside. It's just they're all working in the same direction and have the same goals. So whether it's Josh McDaniel or Matt Patricia or the special teams coordinator, they're all on one team.
Right.
And they have great leadership with Belichick and with Kraft.
And I know you don't, you can have input, but do you want to see Tom play 2 or 3 more years? I mean, if I could, I'd still be playing too.
Yeah.
But, and I understand what Tom, and he's in such great, phenomenal shape. So is that a concern, though? I mean, you get up to 41, 2 and 3. I mean, it's kind of unprecedented almost.
It is kind of unprecedented.
Yeah.
But, he doesn't simply play football. He really lives football.
Yeah.
He loves football as much as anybody could love anything. And there's 3 reasons why people quit playing football. Their skills fall off, the coaches tell them that it's time, or it's injuries. And he doesn't have any injuries that are going to keep him out. His skills haven't fallen off. And to this point, the team hasn't cut him loose. So at a certain point, if he's not hurting, I don't know why he would, but he's a big boy and he'll make that decision.
All right. Now, I know Joe Montana was your favorite for a long time, and now everybody's saying Tom's the best of all time. And it's hard to compare eras. Joe won 4, Tom has 5 and 4 MVPs, so he's kind of surpassed Joe. I think Tom, you talked about, he went to that first championship game with the 49ers, grew up admiring Montana, and now he's considered the best ever. Does he think that way, or?
No.
No.
I remember somebody once saying to him, "Tom, you're the GOAT," and he says, "Don't even say that. I don't even want to hear that."
All right.
That may be something that at some point in time down the line, he considers and is able to look back on his career and perhaps savor it. But he's in the middle of climbing Mount Everest right now, so he doesn't want to be thinking about something else at this point in time.
Where does he get that competitive nature? I mean, I think a lot of it, sometimes you just kind of lose your edge. You're tired of it. You're tired of getting hit. And I think you and I have talked about it over the year. He's got 3 sisters that might be more competitive than he.
Well, that might have been the case. And to a certain extent they are. But, he's just, he's embraced the challenge, and his competition is really himself, and that's not to say that he doesn't have to deal with the external parts of the defenses and all of that stuff, but he wants to work harder, work out harder, wants to lead the team. I mean, all these things provide him a tremendous amount of fun, and Sundays happen to be the cherry on top of the ice cream sundae. So it's just not 16 games or 16 Sundays or 3 or 4 postseason Sundays. It's just everything about it. He gets to kind of be living his dream, whether it's throwing balls to guys in June or April or whatever, or hanging in the locker room with guys and bonding with guys. That's, the things that you now have missed because you're no longer doing it. He still gets to do it. So that's the real joy in the playing.
And the kind of arc of an athlete is he gets it, he makes it, he gets to the top, and then, everybody loved Tom early on. Now he's got a lot of haters out there. and athletes figure out how to deal with that. But how hard is that as a family, as a father, to see all kind of the hate thrown his way, and how do you guys deal with that?
Well, it isn't easy.
Yeah.
It isn't easy. But that being said, I remember back in the 1970s when the 49ers used to get worked over by the Rams every Sunday, and I hated the Rams. Hated the color of their uniforms. I hated their quarterbacks. I hated the whole deal. Then it was the 80s, and I hated Dallas and Washington. I still remember the pass that flew over Ronnie Lott and flew way out of bounds, and the ref called it pass interference.
Right.
So I have those grudges, too, against our other competitors. So that being said, I understand people, that this is getting to be a tired book for a lot of people, that they'd like to see some other people, and I can appreciate how they're feeling. On the other hand, tough luck.
Yeah, exactly. And Tom's been around so long, I understand there's rookies in the locker room. They're calling him Sir. That's a little bit of respect and a little bit of grandpa in it, right? In a locker room.
Yeah, he loves running into the new guys and dealing with them. And it's a kind of a challenge in the leadership level to be able to relate to these guys, because they listen to different music. They don't have kids that are 10 and 7 and 3, and the other side of it is kind of that in the quarterback room there's only 2 quarterbacks. That being said, Brian Hoyer is a good buddy of his, so it makes it a lot easier.